Women are hypergamous, and if you don't know what that means, women want the best that they can do. They've always wanted the best they can do. They get one egg. For 9 months, they can't reproduce anybody else, so they got to pick a good option. As a male, you can, spray and pray and kind of hope for the best and have, 13 baby mamas at one time if you really wanted that. It's kind of the biological evolution of both males and females. And so women are very hypergamous, and they want the best they can get. They want better than them. And for those that don't know, in Canada, we have the most university-educated women per capita anywhere in the world. There's nowhere in the world that has more university-educated women than here in Canada. Now, I want to rattle off some stats for you, for those that believe that marriage in a traditional sense is a good idea, like my parents. Both of them saying, you should do it that way. No, sir, waiter check, please, and I'll tell you why. So the divorce rates are 50%. So 1 out of every 2 marriages, before your 7 shows up, pull the pin, see you later, alligator. In those divorces, 90% of the time, it happens with the woman pulling the pin if she is university educated. It's 80% if she is not. So if I was to go and skydive out of a plane and they told me 50% of the time the cord doesn't work and 90% of the time it's because we didn't pack it properly, would you want to go skydiving? I wouldn't want to go skydiving. So on top of that, when the divorce happens, 50% of females get sole custody. So half of the custody battles are sole custody for the woman, only 10% for the man. And then on top of that, you got to pay her child support. She gets half your stuff. You have no money or assets to rebuild yourself and try to have any more kids or another family after that point. And most men, that's tough. You see women in their late 30s, early 40s, they all say they want to avoid men in their age range. They want to shoot for men in their 20s because they haven't gone through all the baggage. And it's interesting because I've heard that story many, many times. I don't want men with baggage. And I thought, family divorce machine. That must be the baggage they're talking about. Because you've been through that. Why would you want to? Why would you want to date anymore, right? And again, 50% chance of that happening. Of you going through the divorce machine, wasting your time, she alienates you from the kids 50% of the time. 90% of the time, she's going to pull a pin if she has university education. I have never met a woman in Canada that does not have some form of a university education. Does that sound good to you? It sounds fantastic, doesn't it? That sounds like a fun time. People are terrified to get on a cruise ship. Oh my God, what if the ship sinks like the Titanic? It's been like 15 ships in history that have ever sunk. But the divorce rates are 50%. They hop in with a smile. Oh yeah, I'm going to go do that. Idiots. It is a cold world. You better put on a jacket. It's true. So I saw a stat the other day. This popped up, and it said apparently 65% of women in marriages in Canada admit to cheating. I don't know if this is true or not, but we'll take it at face value. Reason being is that they feel lonely, and they lean on other people for support, and it just so may happen to be a man, and oh my God, oops, fell on his wiener. Oops. Have your shit, please. And the kids. You're not ever going to see them again. You want to marry that? No, thank you. I'm going to quote the Glengarry Glen Ross, the legendary monologue. Nice guy, don't care. Great father, F you, go play with your kids. Close, or you'll be shining my shoes. Coffee is for closers only. A always, B B, C closing. Always be closing. Coffee is, in fact, for closers. Rich Cooper, the GOAT, the Godfather himself, he has a good line. Still a lot of lines from him. Rich is awesome. But his line is, a lot of these women will turn to religion, and I've noticed it, like 27, 28 in the dating market. They become very religious. All of a sudden, I'm a religious woman. I'm a Christian woman. And as Rich says, just because Jesus can forgive them hoes doesn't mean you have to. It's sad, but it is so true. It is so true. Women, I've noticed a lot of women hate the truth in regards to stuff like this. Telling like, as I'm a consumer of women, right? Like we are in the dating market. Women consume men, men consume women. I'm a consumer. And as a consumer, there's things that I want and things that I don't want, right? So for example, I'm not going to buy a vehicle with 800,000 miles on it. Built in 1985. It's a bad idea. Newer sounds nice. I might lease it. I might use it as a business expense. Let's see what's on the lot type of deal. Okay? But they don't like the fact that men are allowed to have standards. And it's always been this way. It's not anything new. That was a quote out of Kevin Samuels as well. R.I.P. the GOAT, Kevin Samuels. Does anybody remember Kevin Samuels? My spidey senses tell me somebody took him out. I know they said he died of a heart attack, but that's just my intuition. But point being is that the boomers don't get it A lot of the older crowd don't get it. Even friends that I've had, or friends that are still married, they still don't get it. You try to explain this type of stuff to them. This is what you're walking into. You're walking into a house of horror, a house of knives, and you're trying not to get stabbed. But there's really sharp, really big knives everywhere. It's interesting. Despite my dad disagreeing with me on most of the stuff, I actually red-pilled him recently. He calls me maybe like a week or so ago, and he says, "Son, I think you might be onto something. Well, ever since you told me that men today act like women and women act like men, I can't stop seeing it. It's everywhere. All the men act like women, they act feminine. All the women act like men, they're masculine. Welcome to the 21st century, Dad. Welcome. Times have changed. Have a seat." As you know how all the boomers, they go to a coffee shop, they lean back on their chair, they pull the lid off the coffee because they don't drink the coffee with the lid on. They take the lid off, and as the black coffee or black tea is like steaming, they take a sip, and they sit down. Class is in session. Welcome to the 21st century. Enjoy your coffee.